you. Well, see, here's another thing, and this I don't. Our platform really is not to call people out. It's to call attention to issues, specifically those that I've had conversations with multiple people about. One issue being there are people who only want you on the phone to listen to them.
Right.
Only. 2002, I was downsized from a corporate position that moved me to Texas. Doggone it, they moved me out here and then abandoned me. But apparently, I'm doing okay. In the process of that, I had to start gauging conversations with people because there wasn't a lot of active listening. Even though I kept saying something is weird, I'm not able to find another job, and I kept having that conversation. When you're going through things, or specifically that time, that season in my life, and telling people, hey, this is real, this is critical right now. I do not know what to do. The response I normally got was, "You need to pray about it. You need to just take that to the Lord," because I'm from that kind of neighborhood,
Not
and
to the Lord.
take it to the Lord.
I love.
Watched a few episodes of Oprah because I had time. I didn't have a job, so I'm watching TV and I'm trying to figure this out. And no one was hearing me, and it was agonizing. And I got to a point where I realized when I was on the phone talking to certain people, if I called them, had a conversation with them, I would not hear from them until I called them again. Therefore, no one knew my phone had been turned off. No one knew my water had been turned off. No one
Right.
knew that I was in the midst of foreclosure and losing my home and my mind. No one knew that because I got
Right.
to a point where I was no longer comfortable having those conversations with anyone. And then when I sent out the change of address cards, I can laugh about this now. I sent out the change of address cards because no one was listening. And I figured, well, before the sheriffs come and put my stuff on the curb, let me just go ahead and find me a place and move on. I finally found a job, an entry level position being bumped down from a corporate position in mid level management. And here I am sending out my change of address. The very people that were telling me to go tell it to the Lord and you need to get over it and all of that were calling, going, "Girl, why didn't you tell nobody?"
Well,
And I
well,
was
here's something.
livid. I was livid.
Right.
And the beauty of that scenario, and there is true beauty sometimes when people don't listen to you, because the accident I had last year, I don't think, well, I had an accident, but people listening may not have known. I had an accident last year. While going through the healing process, my job went away. So,
Right.
on a different level, I'm experiencing that same thing. The beauty of that first situation helps make sense of this situation. And guess what I do now? I have such a balance spiritually to a point where I am actively listening and waiting for my cues from a higher power.
And that's where I wanted to stop you because you mentioned a couple of things, and I'm done actively listening at this point. I want to actively speak on two things that you touched on. And the first thing that you had mentioned is that first of all, we're not here to call people out,
Mhm.
but I really want to touch on this is that some people are very sensitive, and they may hear us speak, and they may say to themselves, "Are they talking about us?"
Probably.
Probably yes. Yeah, I say probably yes.
Mhm.
We won't mention any names and that kind of stuff because, like I said, I mean we're not here to call people out, but we are actually here to hopefully enlighten
Yeah.
people that no, we're not perfect. We're not miracle workers. We do not know everything. We're not the authority on
Mm-mm.
anything. We're just not. But if you do hear us speak and you feel like we're talking about you, yeah, 9 times out of 10 we probably are.
And might
The
I
second,
might I add, not to cut you
yeah,
off, I'm trying to actively listen here, not to cut you
well, I
off,
think we have
but
that.
if you feel as if we are talking about you, that's the moment where you have to sit back, you have to push back and say, hey, at this time, maybe I did have a moment. Maybe that was the process for me, but it's not anymore.
Right, but you know what? Here's the caveat to that, and now took me way off the path of where I was going with this.
Sorry.
But here's the caveat to this. Some people will never, ever, ever, ever own themselves. Right? They will just never do it. They may hear us and say, "Yeah, I think they're talking about me," and then they'll get either pissed off or get pissed on. I'm just simply saying, and that was my only point is that if you take offense to anything, or if you have something that you're feeling strange about or whatever, we're always open to comments and feedback and so on and so forth. But if you want to realize that, yeah, maybe I did have an issue, just like Gail and I both have talked, and we talk out offline and we talk online, but we realized that, yeah, we had some issues and we had some problems. If you feel like you have some issues and some problems, then it's your time to work them out.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be on our dime in the sense.
Well, I want to touch on something that brought us back together, if you're okay with that, because we used to talk every day.
Right.
Every single day, sometimes 2-3 times a day.
Right.
And because of, and I say your situation, because I have this habit when people are going through things and they push back, I step all the way back. So instead of being,
can I interrupt you?
What?
I'm sorry. It's not so much that you pushed away or whatever. I think again, this touches on the communication aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is that where you're going with it?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
okay.
Because things were happening in your life, things were happening in my life, and I just have this weird habit of going, okay, it'll balance out.
Well, and see, but I guess where I'm going with this is that and we've talked about this, that there was a huge miscommunication that had transpired, and it really did not necessarily have to do with, things are going on in your life, things are going on in my life. I don't think so at all. I think that we both were just miscommunicating with each other, because you'll recall when we did finally have a conversation, I was like, what? When did that happen? You were like, yeah, it did happen. And, thank God we're in two different places, because it probably would have turned into a physical altercation. Not really. Not at all. But, no, I think that was a prime example of miscommunication, and us not actually talking and or listening properly to each other. Right. But the other thing, and I'm sorry, were you done with that topic?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. Because the other thing that you have brought up and we talked about is the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this, and you can agree to disagree, or you can say hallelujah and take out your tambourine and everything. I don't know.
Hold up. Let me get the tambourine. Hold up.
Get the tambourine, please, because I think you're going to agree with me on this. In my experience of any loss, there does come a segment in time in that loss where nobody's listening, or it seems like no one's listening.
Right.
And the only source is to turn to the Lord. That is something that I have found to be true. And you can probably dive back into that season where you were just talking about, you kind of felt like you were in the valley. Those were not your words. These are my words. Mm-hmm. But you kind of felt like you were in the valley and nobody even knew what was going on. And someone told you just get quiet with the Lord.
Yeah.
And your thought was like, oh, okay. I think that, there are these seasons that we are privileged, and I use that word, privileged, to go through to where we build a stronger relationship with the Lord. Yeah. And in so doing, we build a stronger self. Because for me personally, I don't know, Gail, you can talk about on your end, but for me personally, through any loss, and specifically through the loss of Donovan, there was nothing anyone on this planet could say to me to soothe my soul. There was just nothing. Yeah. I don't even remember people sent cards and people were calling. I don't normally talk on the phone, but people were calling and sending cards and stuff. And God bless my mom. She would read them to me, and I just remember saying to myself, that didn't help. That's not helping. Right. I'm not feeling anything. It's nothing. And I think that there is a moment that we all have to go through, maybe more times than others. I don't know, but I know I have gone in this valley plenty of times, and
Yeah.
it gets this sense of just be quiet, be still, and turn to the Lord.
Yeah.
You know my spiritual walk. You know my relationship with God. I am not into religion, which we'll talk about, I'm pretty sure, at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, because again, I'm not into, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian, I'm a whatever. I'm not into all of that, but I do have a solid relationship, personal relationship, intimate relationship with the Lord, and I know that even in the season of people not listening or seemingly not listening, I can retract back into Him, and I can just be at perfect peace in that quietness.
And
So,
that right there actually brought me to my latest business. Everything happens for a reason, and that
right,
first season of losing that job, that position, and coming to the conclusion, it wasn't mine anyway.
right.
Coming to that
Absolutely.
conclusion, and in this season right here, this season of loss, losing my most recent job, I commiserated for a while, and I realized that in that, well, what came out of that was me writing a book called The Accidental Blessing, because I've got some physical issues that are going to be with the rest of my life, and
Right.
it's a blessing. It was an accident, but it was truly a blessing. In the process of me healing, I kept calling my job saying, "Hey, what will I be doing when I come back?" Because they were reorganizing. Like, what will my duties be when I come back? I need to tell my doctor so they can list my limitations. Radio silence. No one called. No one said anything. I went over there. Hey, what are we going to be doing? Well, as you can see, we've moved everything out of your office. It's now in a cubicle. And I'm like, okay, so what am I going to be doing when I come back? Only to
Right.
find out just a short while ago, my entire position was dissolved into something that went into one position that 5 people had to fight for.
Wow.
And no one communicated with me. No one was listening when I was saying, "Hey, I'm not sitting at home doing my nails." Well, I am now because, I got time. I'm not
Right.
sitting at home doing anything other than trying to heal. I'm open to coming back if that's an option, because with no income coming in, that poses a problem for people who have your mortgage and your car.
Right.
That people
Right.
people want to get paid, and rightfully so. But with them not listening, with me really being focused on hearing clearly what message God is trying to send to me this time, I have come to the conclusion most of what I did was go inside. Am I even listening to me?
Yep.
Which broke down the accidental blessing, and me being able to write about truly identifying that one spirit within yourself. And if, for me, again, while being silent and trying to hear clear messages, because I think I'd be freaked out if I heard God's audible voice. I'm already gray. I'd be like Storm from the Marvel comics if I heard a real voice. But
That would
so
be
much, so much has happened these past few weeks or months from me just listening. And it's been so miraculous that I've gotten scared a couple of times, because I'll
right.
say something in one moment, I will have like a dream or a movement in my spirit, for lack of a better term, and next thing you
Right.
know, what I had sat down and commiserated with God about, it was happening, and it's like, oh wait, okay, so I'm just gonna sit over here in this corner, Lord.
It's quiet.
And